Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on December 8th, 2016. And they started off the show this week with Moose coming out, just much like last week as well, where Moose challenged for the Grand Championship. This week he comes out, cuts a promo about winning the Grand Championship last week and how he's going to defend it. This prompts Drew Galloway to return. Drew Galloway finally returns after the injury that kept him out of Bound for Glory. And of course, he's wanting a shot at the Grand Championship, but this also spurs Aaron Rex to come out and interrupt and get in, not revoking, but enacting his rematch clause for the Grand Championship. And, I kind of like where they're going with Aaron Rex here, trying to do everything possible to try to win, type Aaron Rex, and coming off as just pompous in his promos, but also trying to say, oh, he's a great wrestler and everything in that sense when he takes the shortcuts and everything like that. He's like an old time style heel in that sense. I do like where they're going with it. I don't know how much is really going to be playing off, because you kind of see. Aaron Rex came in there with a lot of fire and everything when he came into TNA, and now it's kind of died off. It's kind of showing some of the flaws that maybe he would have had via what would have been shown maybe if he stayed in WWE. Who knows on that sense? But in this match with Moose, the first two rounds go to Aaron Rex to the point that and he uses like his cheap tactics that he would use in other matches to win, to just gain the advantage here. So he had used the quote-unquote loaded punch to gain the advantage and win the first round, and then he used whatever was in his towel to rake the eyes and blind Moose in the second round to gain the advantage and gain the round that way, but immediately loses in the third round of the match. Like I said, I haven't been a big fan of these type of matches. This one wasn't bad though. I'm not gonna lie, this one wasn't bad because I like the way that Aaron Rex played off of it to try to gain the advantage, and Moose gaining the victory in the end was a good way of to go along with that. So in the end, it came off rather good. Up next was Mandrews going up against Aidan OShea. This match was just weird. How did they? Why was this even booked? It was just kind of weird in the sense that Aidan OShea's been the enforcer to whomever has been the in control, or the quote unquote in control person of the Impact show, so the general manager essentially, but he's randomly just put in a match with Mandrews, which essentially he had, the way that Aidan OShea's always been, he kind of comes off heelish, and Mandrews came off extremely heelish last week with his attack of DJZ. The only really good thing that came about of this match was the fact that Mandrews won, because he just recently did this heel turn, so you want him to become go over a little bit strong in this case, and that it was at least the case here, that he went over in the match and comes out looking strong in the end. But still very weird booking, just having these two in a random match essentially in the end. They had nothing. This had nothing to do with what Mandrews did with DJZ the week before. You don't even see see DJZ to go along with it. You do see Braxton Sutter later on, but that was for a completely different aspect of everything. Up next was Al Snow and Muhammad Ali Shera going up against the Tribunal, and what was a double strap match. And this was a bad match. I was not a fan of this match in any way, shape, or form. It came off kind of meh. It didn't really come off all that good. And I've never been a big fan of the strap match rules where you have to go around touching all the turnbuckles and everything in that sense. Mainly because you can't suspend the disbelief. It's technically they do this little tug of war thing, and the whole aspect is if your momentum gets stopped, you have to reset the entire having to touch the turnbuckles. So they always do this tug of war spot at the end, but technically that's breaking the momentum. But yeah, I've never liked the match in that variation. I've liked strap matches in the past, but mainly that's when they have like a pinfall or submission. The only reason why they're have their hands are strapped together is basically to where they cannot get far away from their opponent, and I kind of like those a lot more. But with that being said, this brings us to probably one of the main aspects of the show, and what's going to be the entire aspect to next week in general. So they film a segment where Matt Hardy's having a dream, where Broken Matt's having a dream, and it shows him all of these things that's going to be potentially going down. It's like another premonition, basically. And he wakes up from this dream or semi-nightmare just repeating the word Apocalypto, 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 and that's where they break it. After the commercial break, though, the Broken Hardys come out, and this is where Matt Hardy announces total Nonstop Deletion, where basically the entire Impact show is going to take place at the Hardy compound. It's going to be shot, I'm assuming going to be shot in the way of the final Deletion, the Great War, Delete or Decay, and everything in that sense. But they also showed it off as like, this isn't just going to be like one super long match for 2 hours or something like that. No, there's going to be other matches to it, where they even, like he announced, like there's going to be knockout matches. There's going to be a match with somebody versus King Maxwell. That's jumping the shark a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Though, if they play it off right, could be hilarious. Like, where they basically, it's like King Maxwell gets in the ring, but he has like some super magical power and transforms into a bigger being or something in that sense. Like, if they do something like that, it works in the end, just for the silliness of it. Well, not really the silliness of it, but just like the whole aspect of them playing off of these powers and everything to go along with it. But it is going to end with a big tag team Apocalypto match, where basically Broken Matt Hardy invites any team to come. And they immediately get interrupted by Shane Helms, who says that Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee's going to be there, and then Decay also throws themselves in there as well, and that also brings in the DCC as well after the commercial break. They accept the invite, so you're going to have a bunch of people with this apparent Apocalypto match here on the down the road, and they've been teasing this whole aspect that people from other promotions can be in there as well. I doubt that's going to be the case. Like, the best one that has a chance of actually showing up in the terms of being there, that's from a different promotion, would probably be the Young Bucks. Though they have teased the aspect, I guess, on social media or something like that, where they've invited D-Generation X, the New Day, and all these WWE guys who aren't going to show up. You would have to assume, in that sense, unless like some crazy deal was went down that no one's heard of yet. So I don't. But more than likely, it'll probably just stick to TNA talent, where the other promotion people who are out there probably won't be around. Like I said, the best chance that you have of that is probably the Young Bucks, but I doubt they're showing up on that show, though they have had something where Broken Matt Hardy showed up on Ring of Honor. So who knows where they're going to go with that, where that's going to go. And that's going to be an interesting one. And I do plan, if everything goes right, I do plan on doing a live reaction of that show on Thursday when it airs live. So that's the game plan. I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. Up next, they had Laurel Van Ness going up against Allie. They teased the whole aspect of, Allie coming out and Maria, chastising her that she's not a wrestler, she's nothing and everything in that sense. And then she's like, I've been training. And like David, like, who's been training you? and it was Braxton Sutter. So who's been playing like the other intricate wheel in this thing with Laurel Van Ness and Allie to go along with it. The match was all right. I mean, they played it off as, you know, Allie not necessarily knowing too much yet and everything in that sense, though the person who plays is actually not bad in the ring to begin with. But the match itself was fine. Of course, the crowd's been getting behind Allie this entire time. Michael Bennett gets involved and gets with Braxton Sutter, so maybe that's starting some kind of storyline, or there's going to be a mixed tag or something in that sense somewhere down the road here with that to go along with it. But otherwise, okay match, nothing too special to write home about. This brings us, though, to the main event of the night, which was Eddie Edwards going up against EC3. And you had promos throughout the entire night. You had Eddie Edwards talking about the championship and how much it meant to him. You had EC3 cutting a promo backstage where he gets interrupted by Eli Drake, and it's like, of course, Eli Drake's playing the whole aspect he can't talk. He's like, so EC3's doing the chastising him or like antagonizing him to say something, but it's like basically he just goes off and is like, choke. That's what he basically was going to tell EC3, that he was going to choke that night. And the match itself was not a bad match. It was a rather slow-paced match. It wasn't a very fast-paced match in most cases here that you would have expected from EC3 and from Eddie Edwards in that case. They played it off as a face versus face style match, and they didn't really step away from that all that much. The ending of the match, because the match ended in no contest via the whole pinfall / tap out spot that you've seen every now and again. EC3 had him in a rear naked choke, and his shoulders were on the mat, and as the 3 count happened, Eddie Edwards was tapping out. No contest was declared, and they basically argued to end the show. So it doesn't really end anything between the two. You're assuming something more down the road here between the two of them. Otherwise, an all right match. Nothing really that special to write home about on that one. But overall, this week's show wasn't a bad show by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a little bit of weird booking. I didn't like the strap match by any stretch of the imagination. And the whole thing with Allie and Laurel Van Ness and Braxton Sutter to go along with that wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. They're furthering that storyline along, but we'll see where they're going along with that. Along with that, you can tell by story, fans were into it and everything in that sense. So that's the good thing about that. The fans were into the stuff that they were doing. Like the Managers Aidan OShea match was like, it was a fine match, but like, why was Aidan OShea even booked in a match with Managers to begin with? And of course the Grand Championship thing is still going on. I'm, again, not a big fan of that particular one, but with Drew Galloway back and the way that, Aaron Rex kind of played everything off in this match, I'm turning around a little bit on it, because it wasn't a bad match tonight by any stretch of the imagination. And of course, the announcement of total Nonstop Deletion being fully announced. Like, people had kind of known for a while that this was going to go down, but they actually announced it and everything like that. So, with that being, so that's going to be an interesting one. So, we'll definitely be looking into that show next week, and we'll see where everything goes with that. And we'll see where everything goes with Impact Wrestling in general. So, that is my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.